Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are y'all doing? Welcome to Cliff Notes Live, episode number 153, and the last episode before the end of Big Brother season 25. Can y'all believe it? We are almost there. We'll be talking about Big Brother for the full hour, and unless y'all have something else you want to talk about, but I figured that's what we'll do. Let's start off with a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love reality TV fans. I love reality TV, and I especially love you guys that are out here hanging with me every Monday night. Those of you who are watching live, those of you who watch it on replay a little bit later, I never forget about you guys either. Thanks to all of you for the support. It means a lot to me. It truly does. It makes my Mondays just a whole lot more fun knowing I get to do this every evening. So welcome aboard to everyone. Now, before we're going further, I will just say as we're reaching the end of Big Brother, I've been dropping morning recaps every day. Somewhat frequent, I mean, every day. So I guess it's somewhat on schedule, but who knows what I'll do after this. So if you haven't already done so, please consider going out, subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications so you know if I drop a video at 3 a.m. or something. Who knows? And you can give me a little thumbs up while you're out there as well. But yeah, please consider subscribing to my channel. I do appreciate that. All right. With all that being said, I'm going to go out here and just see who all's out here, and then we'll just hit Big Brother full speed all the way through. Because that's what we're going to do tonight. Karen Berkeley. Hey, Karen, first one in. Welcome aboard. Jinx Minx, Marilyn Sutherland, Heather Marshall, Gail Krause, Karen Loveland, Keith Franken. Keith, how are you? Michelle Mills, Taylor Mangus. Yeah, we're going to get live tonight. Of course we are, Taylor. Amy Kay, Brian Hostetler. Hey, Brian. Lee Strack, Lynette Plan 7. Ma, hey, Ma, how are you doing? Sorry about your phone. I saw that. Jake the Horror Movie Geek. Jake and I did a little podcast on was that Friday night? Yeah, it was Friday. I had so much fun doing that, so we may talk about that a little bit, but Jake was great. All right, let's see who else we've got here. Darlinda as well, Terry Thomas, Anuez 1919, Kendra, Desiree Watts, Amanda Lowe, LJ Price, Justin Q Akasita, pronounce that right, did I? Judy Coletta, Carly Hunt, and Noe. See, I'm figuring things out if I read them enough times. Michelle Moore, I may have said you before, and I don't mind saying it again. Michelle, Amber Hayes, Chaz, Tommy Braskett, Nikki Banfield, Charlie Cummings, and I was going to say that's it, but we got to go with Hairball. Hey, Hairball, how are you? Kim Sinclair, Jamie Seifert, Deb McDougall, and Amy Bonner, Ashley Cullen. All right, we'll stop it there. Carol Mosher. We'll stop it there, and Barbara Schultz. I just can't keep silent. And Misfire. All right, we'll end it with Misfire. Some of y'all may have missed. I apologize for it. I love seeing the names out here. I love seeing the names that I recognize immediately, and then other names that are new. We just have fun out here on a Monday. So welcome aboard. All right. So what do y'all think about Big Brother? Big decision was made on Sunday night, right? Did Jag make the right decision? Who's going to win now based on what happened? All right. So a few questions as we get right into it. Yeah, Heather Marshall saying, do you think Jag made the right move keeping Matt? Let's just start with that one. I'll tell y'all what I think, and then y'all tell me what you think as well. When I was in the house, as I was getting down to the final 4, final 5, final 6, remember, we had kind of a tough decision to make between Holly and Tommy as well. I know what it's like for Jag to just feel so torn in what you're going to do. Here was my thinking, and I think Jag did a little bit differently. I sat there and said, what is going to give me the absolute best chance of winning in a final 2 against someone? And I felt like my best chance was not sitting next to Mickey, not sitting next to Tommy, but sitting next to hopefully Nicole. Worst came to worst, maybe Holly, but I really wanted to sit next to Nicole. So then I thought, what gives me the best chance of getting to that kind of final 2 spot? And Nicole and I decided that really our best chance was if it was her and myself and Holly. That if we could get Holly there, we thought we could maybe beat her and move on. So we did everything on our decision making, trying to get that final 3. In other words, we were doing what we thought would make us win, not just what would get us to 2nd or 3rd place. I kind of feel like Jag did just the opposite, because Jag, if he had not taken Matt, if he had cut Matt loose and taken Felicia instead, right? I think at that point in time, I think Jag beats Felicia. I think Jag beats Bowie Jane. Certainly, I think he has a much better shot at beating Felicia in part of the competitions as opposed to Matt. And so I really feel like Jag had a much easier path to win the final thing. Because again, I think he beats Felicia or Bowie Jane, either one. So that maybe is the way I would have gone. Instead, I think Jag did this. He looked down and said, okay, Matt, I'm pretty sure if Matt makes a decision at the very end, he will drag me to final two with him. Bowie Jane will drag me to the final two with him. Felicia, if she was to win it, she probably will not drag me to the final two. So I really feel like Jag made a decision that gave him the best chance to get to a final two chair, even if it doesn't give him the best chance to win the whole thing. So in some ways, I kind of feel like he was playing for a more guaranteed second place. Does that make sense? Whereas instead of taking little bit bigger chance and doing what would make him the most likely to win the whole thing, because he was worried that Felicia wouldn't take him. But he thinks that Matt and Bowie Jane both will. We'll see if that's the case or not. All right, now, before I say anything else, for those of you who are new out there, this is not a spoiler-free zone. So we will talk about things like last night's part one of the HOH competition. Do y'all know what happened on that? If you don't want to know, real quick, last night, 2 or 3 hours it took them, but the winner of the first part, Matt. They're already questioning whether that was the best move or not. Matt's won the first one, so Matt will be facing off against either Bowie Jane or Jag in the final part of the HOH competition. Whoever wins that decides who they want to take with them to the final two. So we'll see. I think Jag makes it to the final two. I truly do. I just don't know if he wins if it's Matt that drags him there. Y'all tell me, what do you think? All right, a few more questions as we go. Keith Frank saying, now what do you think Julie has to announce about this upcoming winner? Yeah, we'll talk about that. Amy K saying, assuming if it's a winter season, it has to be from those who didn't make the cut this season. And then Taylor saying maybe another celebrity Big Brother. You know what I've seen, and maybe they're just teasing us. Maybe they're just moving us along. But could it be a legacy season? 22 All-Stars didn't go so well, but could you have a legacy season where you bring in some of the people who didn't do that show, such as Dan Giesling, Rachel Riley, Casey, some of the ones who weren't in the original All-Stars? Bring them in, and maybe some old school people too. I don't know if Dr. Will would do it, but Janelle, maybe, since she already did All-Stars, maybe not so much, but bring in a few people, not a full Big Brother season, not 100 days. We can't do that again right now. We need to shorten this thing up a little bit, but maybe have it just a month. You know, when they do Celebrity Big Brother, it's a very short season, right? I could see them doing something like that for a legacy Big Brother where they maybe only have 12 people in the house. It only lasts for a month, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. So it's a very quick competition. Everything's compressed. You lose a couple of people a week, something like that, but bring back those people. So that's my first thought of what they could do. My second thought was mentioned. Could they take people that didn't make 25 and bring them in for season 26? They did that with Big Brother Over the Top. Some of y'all may remember that. In that case, it wasn't on TV. It was just online. And they could do something like that as a way to get people to buy Paramount Plus to watch everything online. Maybe. I think it's a possibility. The third option, Celebrity Big Brother, I don't know they're going to do it. I think there's a lot of celebrities that may be scared to do a Big Brother after the last Celebrity Big Brother, where, you know, Todrick and a few other people really got called out and maybe didn't come off looking so well at the end of it. I have a feeling there's a lot of celebrities that are saying, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm kind of thinking maybe legacy, if not just a shortened season with yeah, as you said, more people from that did make season 25. We'll find out. And it could be online only. I don't know. We'll find out when Julie comes back and talks about it. All right. Real quick, Denise Lang. Thank you, Denise, for the super sticker. I appreciate the additional support. It's a labor of love. I do this out here. I've never charged anyone. I don't plan to ever do it. That's not what I'm about. I'm just out here because I love to talk reality TV, Big Brother, and talk to you guys. But thank you for the support. It means a lot. It truly does. All right. LJ Price saying, last few days of Big Brother 25, can't believe we're almost done. Tell me about it. I remember when I was in the house during season 21, once I got down to, I don't know, maybe day 80 or so, where there were 20 days left, or in our case, 19, because it was 99 days. Once I got into the teens, it was amazing. Once I got where I could count on my two hands how many days were left, then it really started to hit home that win or lose, you're about done in the house. They're in the early part. It just seems like you're going to be there forever. But yeah, as you get towards the end, you really start getting antsy and thinking about it. I'm almost more anxious watching this season than I was during my season for it to be over. It just seems like it's lasted a long time. Maybe it's because they started late, so we're into the fall and there's football, and suddenly I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, we got Thanksgiving and I'm still talking Big Brother. It's just been a weird year as far as that goes. I'm ready for it to be over. I really wish they'd taken the last 2 weeks and done 2 evictions a week and finished this thing a week or so ago. But yeah, they didn't know at the time. I remember the writer's strike. They thought maybe they'd have to stretch this out as much as possible. So that's some of why we're doing it the way we are. But I'm ready for it to be over. Hey, it's been a long season. All right, Brian Hosteller said, are you going to Hearts of Reality this year? No, I'm not, Brian. They canceled Hearts of Reality this year. They sent out a notice. I guess it's been about a week or so. I really don't know what's going on, exactly what occurred. I guess there was some kind of logistics, something that didn't work out right. For those of you who don't know, Hearts of Reality is a big charity event that's held in Orlando every year. For past few years, it's been in December. Whole bunch of reality people from Big Brother, Survivor, Amazing Race, every CBS show and a lot of other shows as well, all go hang out. They do autograph signing, pictures, so a lot of people get tickets, and you just hang out, and there's parties that people can buy tickets to. It's really cool to go meet all these people that I've looked up to and watched on TV for so long. And I've been fortunate enough to do it for the last couple of years. But yeah, they canceled it this year. They haven't made an announcement if it'll take over, if it'll start back up again next year, maybe, I don't know, a different date. I don't know what the issue is, but yeah, I'm going to miss seeing all these people. Last time I went there, I walk in and right in front of me is Sandra Diaz. It's like, oh, there's Sandra, the queen from Survivor. And she turned around and said, Sandra, my name's Cliff. She said, yeah, Big Brother, I know who you are, Cliff. I know who you are. It's like, wow, it's really cool to have someone like that mention your name. So yeah, I had a blast, but not this year. It's a shame. It was a fun event. They raised a lot of money for Give Kids the World, which is a place for Make-A-Wish kids there in Orlando. All the kids that want to go to Disney World, Universal, and everything, they can all come stay at this village. The families, the siblings, and all stay for a week. Everything is free. So it's an incredible, amazing charity. Even though Hearts of Reality is no more this year, I'm still raising money for them because it's such a great cause. So yeah, hopefully they'll be back though. That was fun. All right, let's see. Ken T saying, it's the final 3. Can't believe the last live podcast with Cliff. No, it's not. No, don't be canceling me out that quick. Here's the thing. Y'all know me. I like to talk. Heck, I'll talk to a brick wall. And I may talk for an hour and a half or so before I realize the brick wall isn't talking back to me. No, even once Big Brother is over, I will still be out here. We got to figure out what else we're going to do. I haven't done it for a while. I'm going to come back and start telling y'all some travel stories that I never got around to in the past. If I'm really daring, maybe I'll tell you a few stories from my college years. Yeah, I don't know. We'll do things to keep busy. We got movies to talk about, series that we're binging. We may pick up another reality show here or there. There's going to be plenty to do. And we'll come up with a few surprises as well. So I'm not going anywhere. We may not talk as much Big Brother, but that doesn't mean we won't have plenty to talk about still. So yeah, Ken T, don't be canceling anything, because I'll be here as long as y'all guys are out here. And even after that, probably. I'm going to look up someday and say, I don't have anyone watching. And I'll still talk for a couple hours. All right. And I'll have fun doing it, but not nearly as much fun as when I talk to you guys. All right. Jamie Seifert saying, shocked that Jag didn't cut Matt, to be honest. I don't know that I'm shocked. I actually, right before he made the decision, I told Sharon, I said, he's not going to do it. It's just not, it's not him. Which, here's the thing. If he truly thinks he's going to the end, if he truly wants to win this, he's just putting off the inevitable. It's not like you just make this decision, or if you don't, you never have to. Theoretically, if everything goes perfectly and he wins part 2 of the HOH, he wins part 3 of the HOH and decides who to take. Is he taking Matt with him to the final 2? I don't think so. I think he gets beat by Matt if he does that. So in the best of all worlds, he still has to cut Matt loose. He's just putting it off by 4 or 5 days, putting it off until Matt gets there to Thursday night, and then he sends him out the door. That may almost be worse, because if Matt thinks that Thursday he's going to be sitting in that final 2 chair and he's blindsided by Matt saying, "Sorry, dude, you're not going to the chair with me." He may just lose Matt's vote right then and there, and Matt may have all kinds of things to say. Whereas if he had cut Matt loose this week, yesterday, that would have given Matt 3 or 4 days to sit there and reflect and think, well, yeah, hopefully he did it because it's best for his game, and be a little bit more logical about it. He's still going to be hurt and disappointed, but I don't know. I'm not surprised that he didn't do it, because I'm telling you, when you get in that house, I know we all talk about being cutthroat and you do whatever it takes and you play for the money. But when you live with these people for 3.5 months and you're in there and they are the only people to talk to, and your whole life ends up revolving around them, you develop some bonds. You develop some tight relationships. And sometimes it's not that you intentionally say, I'm not going to go for the money. It's more important to have the friendship. You don't necessarily say that out loud in your head or whatever. It's just, it kind of tempers your decision making. And Jag said last night or night before, he said, I know what I need to do. I just don't know if I have the strength and the heart to do it. And I think that's the situation. He knew his own weakness was that he knew that maybe cutting Matt loose was the best thing to do, but he just couldn't pull himself to do it, which maybe that says something about Jag's character, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? I mean, these guys are all getting ragged on for some of the bullying and the way they've isolated Felicia and Suri, and there are a lot of people who did a lot of isolating. I don't think anyone in this cast is without blame for that, but they caught some grief for that. Well, maybe Jag's got a little part of him where his outside character, when he's not playing the game, is shining through at this point in time. But having said all that, I still think it was a mistake, but I get why. Right? Okay. All right. Let's see what else we've got on here. Skylar Gill saying, who are you rooting for? I don't know. I think my top choice is Jag, because I picked Jag at the very beginning, because I thought Jag had the right attitude coming in, saying that I know I'm going to have to keep reminding myself it's just the game, that I'm here to enjoy the experience, to have fun, regardless of what happens. That's what I like to see, is someone that can stay rational. It is just a game. That's a game for $750,000, but it is still a game. It's still just entertainment for us to watch. So probably Jag, and I think Jag deserves it with all the comp wins and everything else. I don't care. Well, the fact that he got evicted and was able to stay, it's not that I don't care. I just think that's just one thing of many that you take into consideration as a juror member. If I was on a jury, yeah, I'd consider it, especially because he didn't have to fight to get back in. I want a battle back to get it back in. So I think I have more reason to say you shouldn't have paid attention to that if I was in the final 2 chair than Jag, who just got saved. But even with that, he won so many competitions that I feel like if he wins it, I'm okay with it. Matt played a pretty dang good social game, so I would be okay with Matt winning it. Bowie Jane, nothing against her, but she is probably not the person that I would want to see win it. I just don't think she did enough. I feel like she was just too much a potted plant for a long time. Y'all know what I mean, right? I just don't think she did anything till the very end. All right, let's see. What's up? Karen Hummer. Karen, thank you so much. I appreciate the additional support I do. And Karen said, of everyone this season, I'm going to miss you the most, Cliff. Thank you for the update. Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. We got to spend a lot of time with the house guests, only an hour or so with me every week. So I appreciate the kind words. It does mean a lot. But just remember, I'll still be here. We'll talk about other things, but I'll still be here. All right, Tommy Brasket. Hey, Tommy, how are you saying? Matt got part 1 of the HOH comp. Who's going to win the second part? All right, let's talk about the second part. It's typically, the first part was endurance, and we haven't heard exactly. I haven't watched the feeds since I went to work this morning, so I may be a little behind, but we haven't really heard exactly what the comp was. It sounds like they were holding on to something while it was spinning, cold, wet. Sounds miserable, but very much a physical endurance type competition. The second part is typically a combination of a little bit of skills, rolling balls or climbing or running along beams, running back and forth, something like that. But also, it typically has a little bit more to do with memories or something. There's a little bit of a memory competition and a little bit of a skills, but it's not necessarily physical endurance. During my season, of course, I was already gone. Woo-hoo-hoo. But Jackson Mickey had won the first part, which involved running across like a rope bridge and grabbing gold coins and then solving a puzzle. The second part for my season was Nicole and Holly competing against each other. They were in harnesses. There were like fake mountains that they had to climb, and at different parts on the mountain, there were different events that happened, and they had to put the day, what day of the season these different events occurred. So you'd have to figure out, you'd have to know what day it was, and then climb up there with these climbing harnesses, and I had smoke everywhere. I think Nicole got some smoke inhalation. It was not a good comp for her, which is unfortunate because it meant that Mickey and Holly were at the end. So in our season, it was some climbing and also some questions about dates and things like that. Now they just had the veto competition where they ask all the dates in the event. So maybe that won't be part of the final two. It could be something, keep this in mind. It could be something to do with the memory board. For example, maybe they're going to ask them questions about different people on the memory board, what color shirt they were wearing, where on the memory board they were. I could see something like that as well. If they do that, y'all remember I said it first. But I have a feeling it could be something like that, also with some kind of running or climbing or stacking or something along those lines. But a little bit more mental, a little bit more skills and not physical endurance. All right, Shamu World. I like that login name. Hey, Shamu World. It would be incredible to see buddies with special needs on Big Brother with returning house guest. That would be kind of cool. I could see that. The only issue I've got with that is it's such a cutthroat game. And I'm afraid if you take away the cutthroat feature that people, what's it say about our nature that we want to see people just being a little mean and vile and cutthroat? I think we just all like to see people succeeding and fighting for survival, whether it's Survivor or a Big Brother. If you had something like that with special needs and all, I don't ever want to see anyone with special needs with additional challenges facing anything other than the absolute best that life can provide. You know what I mean? I would not enjoy. I don't know that I enjoy seeing anyone suffer, but it is a big mental battle of wits, and some people do well and others don't. If you had special needs, I think it would be fun to do a special edition where you could actually maybe not have the losing component in the same way. You'd have to change it up where everyone has a little bit more, instead of having there's only one winner, have something where everyone can enjoy the entire event. You could still make it work. I think it'd be a fun change of pace to do. And I know, God, I'd love to go in there and have someone with little special challenges and everything, and be able to go in and help them push the envelope and do things that maybe they wouldn't necessarily think that they were capable of doing. I know Jag worked with Special Olympics and all of that, so yeah, I'm for it. I'd love to see him do something like that. Not as a regular season. It's for the same reason someone has said, "Oh, I'd like to see them do a kids version of Big Brother," like teenagers or something. I wouldn't want to see that, just because I think it's stressful enough for adults to deal with that. I don't want to see people too much younger having to deal with that. It's just too brutal a game. All right, Amy Bonner is saying he made the wrong move. I think you may be right. And here's the thing: if he wins anyway, then he's going to say, "Yeah, no, I knew what I was doing," and maybe he did. Maybe he lucked into it. If he doesn't win, if Matt wins this thing, if Jag, made the move he did, and now if Matt wins it over Jag, he is going to spend the rest of his life with coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and wondering, did I screw up? Would it have mattered? Well, it would matter if he had sent Matt home. Obviously, Matt's not going to wouldn't have won. That's tough. It's tough to deal with that. But at some point, because I know I dealt with that when I got out, there were a few situations throughout my season where I thought, "What if I'd done this? What if I did that?" And I've played it back over my head hundreds of times. And the good thing is that as I've tried to balance, as I've tried to figure it out, as I've talked to other people that are in the house, I realize that the decisions I made, I stand by them. I still think they made the most sense. Even some people disagree with me, but I stand by it. And here's the other thing that makes the biggest difference. Every single decision I made while I was in the house was done because I thought it was the best chance for me to get one step further. There isn't a single decision I made where I was like, this isn't very good, but I'm going to do it anyway just because I don't care. No, I never did that. So you have to trust in yourself, and you have to realize that whether you're in Big Brother or just the world in general, you're not going to make 100% perfect decisions. Sometimes you'll make decisions that don't quite work out. It's part of life. You move on with it. But $750,000 makes it really tough to move on, right? Oh, that would kill me. It would drive me crazy. I hope he becomes independently wealthy and has so much money he never has to worry about the difference in him. We'll see. And maybe it turns out it was the right decision. But I kind of agree with you, Amy. I think it was probably wrong. All right. Edge is saying, rooting for Matt, but hoping for Bowie Jane. Oh, there you go. I think there's people that are cheering for Bowie Jane, not so much because of what she did to deserve it, but just because they want to see this season get gummed up a little bit, or they want to see Jag and Matt kind of get not thrown under the bus, but you know what I mean? They don't want to see them succeed in the end because of some of the stuff they did. I think there's a lot of different motivations for people cheering for each other in the game. And Bowie Jane, I've got to say, through the first half of the season, I thought that her and Nicole were actually playing decent games, because there's nothing wrong with floating under the radar and not really getting blood on your hands. I thought that was, if you can get away with it, get away with it. So I didn't have any problems with it. The only time I really had issues was as we got later and later and later into the season, and Bowie Jane still would not. And I know she won a few competitions, but even those, I don't feel like she wanted to win them. They were just kind of thrown to her. And even when there was just a few people would ask her opinion, and she'd just be whatever you want to do. Or people would just spill their guts out with information, and Bowie Jane would say, yeah. She didn't provide a lot of input. She's griped that people didn't include her earlier in the season in decision making. Well, why would you? If you're not thinking that someone's going to give you any input or opinions or anything else, why even bother discussing with them? So, I think she's been an interesting character. I think I'm glad they cast her, but I really had hoped that she would kind of at some point just seize control with one of these HOHs and say, I'm doing it because I want to do this. I want to do that. Not because y'all are just telling me what to do. I just haven't seen it yet. But at this point, whoever wins, and that's fine. And if you get to the end, I've always said if you get to the end, then you deserve the win. Some people more than others, though. All right. Justin Q. Axita saying, Cameron and Corey will sway the jury for Jag and not to be bitter. You could be right. Absolutely. And Barbara Schultz is saying, don't think Jag has a chance at winning too many bitter jurors. Felicia, Suri, and America will try to sway the jurors. They were pretty bitter when they were talking at the jury house, right? I mean, they did not seem to be huge fans of Jag or Matt, which I don't know. It's one thing to be bitter, and it's almost like everyone in the jury house is ganging up on the people who are doing well. And it's easy just to pile on and badmouth and all that because you've got a common foe, a common enemy. But when it comes time for actual voting, I can see someone like Corey, and Cameron was such a comp beast while he was in the house. I feel like Cameron's going to respect another comp beast. Not that social game isn't important, but I think people tend to most respect other people who tend to be like them. And I think Cameron may see in Jag a little bit of the same comp beast type mentality that may make him lean that direction. I'm not sure. Now, Felicia and Suri, I think they're going to be pretty bitter. And Blue, yeah, I definitely think there's going to be some bitter votes cast. And so that's another component. If you have Matt and Jag both in there, they can't be bitter at both of you at the same time. So are they more bitter one way or the other? Whereas if you have you and Bowie Jane, I don't know. I feel like Felicia and Sari are just as bitter towards Bowie Jane as they are to Jag. But I think, was it Felicia that was telling Sari at one point? She said something like, "If Bowie Jane makes it to the end, I may just cast my vote for her just because the other guys are, did all the stuff they did. I'm just do it for her just because they dared to take her to the end." And Felicia may do something like that. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of bitter juries. I was really hoping ours wouldn't be bitter, and it wasn't. And I hope the case is the same this year, because you got to respect the people. At the end of the day, vote for who played the best game, not who personally burned you or didn't burn you or whatever, because you ought to be rewarding the best play and not punishing the person that treated you personally, maybe the way you didn't want to be voted out or whatever. But we'll find out. All right, Chaz is saying, do you think Mac takes Jag to the final two? But if Jag has a chance, he'll take Bowie Jane. That's a good question. Yeah, I think if Matt makes it to the end, if Matt wins, he's already won part one. If he now wins part three, whether he faces off against Jag or Bowie Jane at that point, then yeah, I think so. Let's see. Eric's saying, I think Jag can beat Matt in final two if Jag wins final HOH. That's the big kicker. I really think that's a huge part of it. If Matt wins the final part of this HOH and says, I'm taking Jag with me, the bromance, I'm taking Jag, I think at that point in time, Matt has a strong argument to say, I didn't save Jag once. I saved Jag twice. I saved him when I used my safety power and that was safety power. I saved him then, and I saved him again when I drug him to the final two. He didn't take me here. I took him here. He's only here because I chose for him to be here. I think those two combined with Matt's social game would be enough for him to get the victory. If it's the other way, though, if Jag wins part two and then wins part three and he takes Matt to the end, then I think it kind of negates Matt's comments about that, oh, I saved Jag with that safety power, because Jag can say, yeah, and I saved you by dragging you to the final two. So we're 1 for 1 on that one, or we cancel each other out on that. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's look at comp wins. And so I think that Jag has a much better chance if he drags Matt to the very end. And then it just becomes a little bit of a bitterness situation. But getting back to the original question, Matt, even though there's the three of them, Matt and Jag and Bowie Jane, I don't feel like Matt has done nearly as much to try to develop a real tight relationship with Bowie Jane as Jag has. Jag and Bowie Jane were sleeping in the same room, that scary bedroom, while Matt was upstairs as HOH. So he didn't bond the same way. And I think because of that, and because I think Matt thinks that he can beat Jag, he would take Jag if he had the choice from that direction. If it's Jag, I think he takes Bowie Jane at this point. If for no other reason, he didn't cut Matt loose, and then Matt won this very first competition, and now Jag in his mind is thinking, oh my God, did I screw up? Did I let my loyalty and my friendship and everything screw me over and not win the $750,000? So if he has another chance to either keep Matt or not, I think he's going to talk himself out of it. He's going to say, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. So yeah, Matt, you're out here. Bowie Jane, you're up here. So I think that's the way it works. But that's the beauty for Jag. I think Matt takes Jag. I think Bowie Jane takes Jag as well. So I think he's final two no matter what. I just don't know if he can win if he doesn't win the final part of this HOH competition. We only have a few more days. We're going to find out. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. All right, what else do we have on here? Taylor Magnus is saying, what's the move that's a zombie film? A movie that's about a zombie film based on the Big Brother house. There's two of them, actually. One of them is called Dead Set, DEADSET. I thought it was on Netflix, but I think one of y'all posted said you didn't see it out there, so I may be wrong on that. But just go out and look at, imdb.com and look up Dead Set. And that's based on it's actually filmed in the Big Brother house in the UK. I don't know if they have the same house. There's a new season of Big Brother UK, which I haven't started yet. I'd like to. I'm just too busy with this. I don't know if it's the same house that they used to use because they were shut down for years, but it was actually filmed in the Big Brother house. I think they used some of the former house guest on that show. Oh, really cool. Check it out. But there's another one, and I don't know the name of it, but it's based exactly the same script, but it's in Brazil. And I actually think it's in Portuguese, but they have it subtitled. And it's the same kind of thing, except it's like the gods of Olympus. They can't have Big Brother for copyright or whatever. But if you look up Dead Set, you can say, what's the Portuguese version of the movie Dead Set? And I bet it'll pull it up for you. So there's actually 2 versions out there. It's cool. I will say, and Jake the Horror Movie Geek and I mentioned we did our thing on Friday. We talked a little bit about zombies during his little YouTube thing that I did with him. I can't say that I didn't spend a little time while I was in that house imagining what if the whole world fell apart around us, zombies, apocalyptic, whatever. I can't say I thought of COVID of all the things. Who would have thought that? But I did think about that movie while I was in the house a little bit. And thinking, what would I do if I had to rely on these knuckleheads to keep me alive after Big Brother, if we're the only ones left? I know who I'm throwing off the side of the thing and feeding the zombies, and who I'm trying to keep to help me out a little bit, right? And I'll let y'all pick who's who. All right. Nunez 1919 saying Felicia's brother passed away while she was in the house. I didn't know that. She's one of the strong women. Condolences to her. Absolutely. That's horrible. Karen Berkey saying diary room informs you and gives you a choice to stay or go. Hugs for Mama Fee. I did. Oh, thank y'all. Oh, wow. Thank you for letting me know that. I did not know that. That is, wow. That's really rough. That's hard. You've got to feel bad about that you're in there. On the one hand, you know that your family is watching you do something that you want to do, that you love to do, but it's hard not thinking that you're going to be there to support them. We had that, which I didn't know about. And then you had Jag miss his sister's wedding because he was in a house. Life goes on outside the house, but it is tough. During my season, Sam got called to the diary room because his grandfather had passed away. And he said at the time he walked in, there was a little envelope sitting on the chair. And I guess that envelope said, we just need to let you know what happened. And he was distraught. And I think they gave him the option of, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I'm going to stay at this point. And he did, but that was tough. And I will say at one point I got called into the diary room, and I don't know why. It was just some basic diary room interview, but there was just something that suddenly got my attention. And I thought, I do not want to go in that diary room because I'm afraid that I'm going to see an envelope sitting on a chair that something has happened. Sometimes you just get that feeling, that tingly, something's gone wrong. I had that feeling, and it was the longest walk into that diary room. And when I walked in and I looked on a chair and I didn't see an envelope, I said, they said, Cliff, what's going on? I said, well, I just thought there was something wrong and there was going to be an envelope here. They said, no, everything's fine, Cliff. We just needed to get an extra, comment or two from you. It was fine. But you do worry about that while you're in your house without having any communication with your family and friends and all that. You don't know. You have to rely on Big Brother production to let you know if something has happened. But yeah, I feel that's tough. It's stressful enough to be in that house, and then to have something like that just makes it that much tougher. So I didn't know that, but thank you for letting me know. All right. Smoky Mountain Blessed. Love that login name. Says, glad that Jag didn't cut Matt. I'm okay with it. This is one of those areas where, from a strategy standpoint, I think there's one thing that needs to be done. From an emotional character integrity standpoint, maybe something else should be done. And unfortunately, in the game of Big Brother, strategy probably should win out, and you should do that. But I don't mind sometimes seeing people do something that maybe isn't the best decision possible, but they do it because a little humanity bleeds out of them. You're trying so hard not to let that come into play, and every once in a while it just happens, right? And I feel like that was his case. From Matt's standpoint, I was glad to see it because I truly feel I can empathize with how horrifically bad Matt would have felt. I was like that. Well, I thought with Final Four, I was okay that I was going to go on to Final Three. So then to find out that wasn't the case, you just get the pit in down deep in your stomach and realize that your game's over. And I'm glad Matt didn't have to experience that. And unfortunately, he may still experience it come Thursday. But I feel like when you're in the Final Three, you get a little more latitude. I don't know that I could ever blame anyone. If Nicole and I were in the Final Three with Holly, and last minute Nicole had chosen to take Holly instead of me, yeah, that would have cut me deep. And for a short period of time, I would have been incredibly disappointed long term, it's a game. I told Nicole many times, said, if you ever cut me loose, as long as you know that you've got a good reason, as long as you can tell me what that reason is, I'll never hold it against you. Just make sure you got a good reason for it. And I feel like I would do the same thing if I was Matt, but that's going to hurt. And I think that's a decision he needs to make. Whether he'll do it or not, I don't know. Whether he'll get the chance to do it or not, I don't know. We'll find out. All right. Carol Mosher is saying, I don't think he'll cut him, but Bowie would. Oh, I think Bowie Jane would absolutely cut Matt. Bowie and Jag have spent so much time telling each other, oh, Matt's going to beat either one of us. Matt, there's no way either one of us can beat Matt. Well, why are they doing that? Because Bowie Jane wants to make sure that Jag never thinks that he'll take Matt to the end. Jag doesn't want Bowie Jane to ever consider taking Matt either. So they've both been pumping each other up about their only chances to go to the end with each other. So, yeah, with that in mind, I think Bowie Jane never takes Matt. Well, never? That's a strong word, because then she's going to do it Thursday. I'll look like a fool. But I think she would much more keep Jag and send Matt out the door. With Jag making the decision, a little more iffy on that. I'm not sure. I still think, as much as I wasn't surprised he didn't cut Matt this time, I think come Thursday he will, if he has the ability to do so, if it's his decision to be made. And if it's Matt's decision to be made, I don't think it matters, because I think Matt wins at that point, regardless of who he's sitting up on the final two chairs with. But we'll see. All right, Ma. If Bowie wins, I'm applying for Big Brother. Well, you would dominate, Ma. Don't compare yourself to Bowie Jane. Jag changed when he got power. I agree. And Ma, you ought to try it anyway. Don't try it based on whether you think you could win it. Sign up, apply. Y'all did see, right, that they had during the episode last night, they talked about going out and applying for Big Brother, so you get a chance to get in there as well. Y'all know how I would respond if any of y'all made it onto that show, right? You talking about having a strong fan base sitting right here every Monday night. Forget every Monday night. If one of y'all makes it on the show, we're doing Cliff Notes Live probably every night. And it's going to be all about you, whoever that you may be. But yeah, Ma, you could do well. You do fantastic. So yeah, apply anyway. As far as Jag, I do think Jag has changed a lot. Sometimes that happens when you get a little power. It's not even so much that he got power. It's that he got power and he kept power for so long, for so many weeks. When it flip-flops, you're always getting kind of knocked back down and realizing that you're at risk. So you kind of keep your head doesn't get too inflated. But the fact that he has had power for such a long period of time makes him forget what it was like. Y'all remember when he was sitting there in the HOH room and Cameron was reading in the riot act saying, if you tell anyone, you're gone. If I decide I don't want to keep you, you're gone. I ought to get rid of you anyway, but maybe I'll be a nice guy and keep you, Jag. And Jag just said, okay. And just having to kiss up and play along. Jag forgot what that was like because he's been in power for so long. Tends to happen. There are a couple people during my season who tended to get pretty big-headed once they won a few competitions. Just one or two people. I mean, I'd leave it at that. All right. Let's see. What do we have? Ken T saying, do you watch Survivor or Amazing Race? They've been great so far. Yes, I watch them both. I'm a huge fan of Survivor. I watch, before Survivor even became Survivor, it was Echo Challenge. Mark Burnett, who did Survivor, had a show called Echo Challenge where you had teams of 4 racing through the mountains and rivers and things. I love that show. So when Mark Burnett announced Survivor, I was on board before even the first episode. So yeah, I love that. I love Amazing Race. I like this 1.5 hour long format that they've got for each of the shows. So we get 3 hours of that every Wednesday. Yeah, I'd love to be on either one of those shows. I think it would be a lot of fun. I've traveled all over the world, so it would be cool doing Amazing Race, especially if they gave me someone. Can you picture me and Nicole or me and Kat doing Amazing Race, or me and Donnie from season 16? There's a lot of people I'd have fun doing a Amazing Race with, and Survivor. I'd love to do that just to surprise some people. Now they've been fantastic. Well, I was gonna say they've been fantastic seasons so far. We've had a few too many people on Survivor who don't seem like they really care about being out there. I guarantee you, they put me on Survivor, you're dragging me off of that island. Yeah, when you snuff my torch, then I'll be a good sport and leave. But until that happens, Ain't no way I'm ever quitting the game like that. And we've had a little too much of that, but there's certainly been some dramatic tribal councils, and I always love Amazing Race. As soon as they get to India, you just know that there's going to be some difficult legs of that challenge. I've been to India once. What an incredible country. It's a lot of people there. But yeah, it's a fun place to go to for work. All right. YTC star, YTCJC star 1015. Why did you never enter the jury house being you got evicted to jury phase? Because, and this is just a guess on my part, the jury house is way up in the hills outside Hollywood, right? Somewhere, I don't even know where, but I think it's a decent drive from, and I don't think it's the same jury house every year, but I think the houses they try to get them very isolated, away from other people, nice, big, fancy houses, because they got to hold a few people. So it's always way off up in the hills somewhere. It's just a long way to go. So just as an example, because I think today they may have filmed the jury roundtable for this season. So Felicia and myself were in the same position, getting voted out fourth. During my season, I got voted out on a Thursday night, right? Fourth place. As soon as I got voted out, and I'll tell you a little bit about how it works. As soon as I got voted out, I got put in. I had to talk to a psychologist and the producers, and all these people came by. How are you doing, Cliff? How are you doing? I'm okay, considering. But then I got put in a car. I got driven to a hotel because I had to stay at the hotel overnight, because then the next morning they wanted to do all kinds of press and things like that. Because I was a jury, I couldn't actually talk to members of the press. They just sent the questions to me, and then I would respond. So that way CBS controlled what I was hearing and all of that. But I did that. And then, in fact, on the way back in the car, they said, Cliff, is there anything particular you want when you get to where you're going? I said, I want some McDonald's. It's been 3.5 months. I haven't had any McDonald's. They said, okay, what do you want from there? And I said, yeah, everything. I want one of everything. Don't be picky. Give me one of everything. And they did. They got me a fish sandwich, a Big Mac, shakes, Cokes, everything. But they said, we're not going drive-through. Nah, you're not doing that. We'll deliver it to you. But anyway, so I did press the next day, which is a Friday afternoon, Friday evening. We did the jury roundtable, which in my case, I don't know if that's still the case now, but in my season, it was actually on the CBS lot. It was set up, people everywhere, a lot of people involved in the production of this show. I realized that time. So they kept me all quiet and everything until they talked for a while. Then I walked out and said hello to everyone, and we finished up the round table. When we got done with the round table, they then pulled all of us jurors into a separate room where we had to come up with the questions that we wanted to ask. And I know some people said, oh, did they give you the questions to ask? No, they didn't. The producers were in there, and they said, the only thing that we ask you guys when you come up with these questions is don't make them yes or no questions. You don't want to just ask us, read out some long sentence and then just say, nah, I never did that. They said, phrase it such that say, why did you do this? Or what were you thinking when you did this? Try to get them to elucidate more information. And so that was their only direction. Beyond that, they said, y'all decide what questions you want to ask. And so that's how that works. So we came up with those questions, but the whole time we were in there, we weren't really allowed to talk to each other. I tried, because they'd all been hanging out together in the jury house. I hadn't. I'd just gotten evicted the night before. So I'm trying to come and say, hey, what's the scoop? What's going on? And the producers kept coming over and said, you can't, none of y'all can talk except while we're filming for the roundtable. The rest of the time, you can't talk to each other. Then we could talk about, how are you doing? Or, it's so good to see you. Oh, you look good. Wow, you're really dressed up. That looks great. We could do that, but we couldn't talk game stuff. So we did the jury roundtable. Then we came up with our questions. And then we got sent to sequester. And from that time until finale night, we were all kept separate from one another. We didn't get to talk, interact, hang out, nothing. So I really didn't get any time to hang out with the jury. Certainly did not go to the jury house. And that's a long answer. I think the short answer is just so far up in the hills that they just didn't want to drive me there for just for a couple of days between the round table and the finale. I think that's where it's at. All right. Real quick before we go any further, let's see. Not today. Thank you so much for your support. Not today. I appreciate it so much. Tim Cox as well. Thank you. Y'all guys are incredible. Again, I do this because I enjoy it and I love talking to you guys, but I appreciate the support. Tim had said, from Louisville, Kentucky, my derby bet, Jag. Thank you for all you do, Cliff. Yeah, I think Jag is the favorite, right? He's the 2-1 favorite or whatever. Yeah, if I was a betting man, I definitely would be betting Jag right now. But his odds certainly, I think, have gone down as compared to if he had Felicia. They were talking yesterday. They're saying, yeah, why is it we were so worried about Felicia maybe winning this veto, even though we knew her chances were like this. We were so worried about it. And then we turn around and we keep Matt to compete in the first part of this HOH. And they were laughing last night saying, Matt was so strong. He held on the whole time. At times he was holding on with one hand. They're saying Felicia would have dropped in the first minute or so. And then that means one of them would have already won the first part. And then the other one would just had to beat Felicia in the second part. Regret's a dangerous animal once you start thinking too much about it. And they're definitely thinking about it. I do believe. All right. Amy K is saying, do you think this year's comps were tailored down like OTEV? Yeah, I think so. It just seems like, yeah, I think so. And I don't know that they should. I just think about my competitions, and I feel like that ramp on OTEV was one heck of a lot tougher than the ramp they had. They could just walk up their ramp. Ours, you really couldn't do that. There were one or two people who got a running start and could get most of the way up before they had to grab a rope. But yeah, ours was a lot tougher. And we had the slip and slide. We had that poised on ivy where you had to hold on to different ropes with your feet and hands. That was tough. They did have the spinning disc, as did we. So there's a few areas that they had the same. I think they definitely toned it down a little bit. Even the competitions, their last veto competition was running around that we saw last night, running around inside that room, setting up the right events with the right days. Why didn't I get that one? I had all of that stuff so memorized. Oh, I was so ready to go, but I didn't get that. I got win it and you're in it veto comp, which involved firing a giant slingshot and firing giant balls at photos up on the side, which that not so horrible, but then having to run everywhere and chase down those balls. I was exhausted. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but I couldn't stop. I had to try to win it, and I finished. I just had a horrible time, but yeah, my veto competition at Final Four was so much more physical compared to theirs, a mental competition. That's what I was counting on. That's why we kept Holly instead of Tommy, because we were so worried that we were going to have a mental competition, and Tommy was so strong on his dates and memory and everything else. That's what we were counting on. We got physical instead, which benefited Jackson, Mickey, and that was the end of it right there. But yeah, I do think they maybe tweaked it a little bit. I don't think they need to. Coming from the big guy, the big old guy in the season, I don't ever want the competitions tweaked down because I'm in the house. If I can't compete with the other people, then I don't deserve to win that competition, and I'll have to figure out how to survive some other way. Don't make it easy just because I'm in there. I don't need that extra little bit of assistance. I would never ask for that. And yeah, I think they did that a little bit this season. You and I are on the same page on that one. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Donald Butts is saying Bowie was the ultimate floater. Oh yeah, she was, and I know Felicia and Sari called her out for it when they talked about each other. Say she'll go wherever there is power. That by itself, I don't think being a floater is bad. You just can't be a floater the entire game. At some point, you have to take over. You have to show that you deserve to be there at the end, which means that you didn't get drug along from start to finish. It just means that you were biding your. There's a difference. Are you a floater because you aren't capable of doing anything except floating? Are you floater because you're just biding your time until the moment is right to strike? Right? There is a difference in the two. Are you the friendly dog that when you have to bares its fangs and attacks? Or are you the one that no matter what is always going to be hiding under the furniture? And maybe that's not the best analogy, but y'all know what I mean. I just don't feel like Bowie Jane ever moved on from the floater role. And that's why I don't think she's as deserving as the other two. It's okay to float if you can get away with it. You just have to do something different as you get a little bit further into the game itself. All right, 7:55. It goes so far. I knew it would tonight. Michelle Mills is saying, why does the winner of the second round get to choose who to go to the final two with? them. Shouldn't the winner of the first round get to pick? Well, let me explain, because that's neither one of those is quite the way it works. It's picture the first round, everyone competes. Whoever wins guarantees their slot into the final competition, right? So if you win the first one, you don't even have to compete in the second one. Then you have the second round competition, which is just for the 2 people who didn't win round number 1. And whoever wins that competition then faces off against whoever won round number 1. So there's your final 2 people. So the person who won round number 1 does not get to decide who advances to the final 2 competition. They sit off to the side and watch the other 2 compete. So it's just a benefit that you don't have to expend your energy and stress and everything else competing in that second round, because you're already guaranteed a spot into the final 2. So you have the winner from round 1, the winner from round 2, and then the 2 of them meet, and whoever wins that competition then gets to decide, am I going to take the person that I just beat, or am I going to take the other person? But it's only that very final competition that's held on the Thursday night of finale night that decides that final thing. So that's how it works. So it's, we've never talked about could you do it somewhere else where it's just you have a final HOH winner that just the 3 of them compete in a single competition. Whoever wins it gets to drag one or the other home or to the final 2. You could do it, but I guess they just like stretching it out a little bit to do it the way that they do here. And it seems to work okay. Now, I wonder, will you ever have a time where you get the final 3 like they do in Survivor? Maybe. And have voters cast votes between 3 people instead of 2. That'd be an interesting twist, perhaps, at some point in time. Talking about someone who'd be surprised if they think they're going home at 3, and then finally they find out they're actually getting to be part of the final 3 that still gets to pitch to the jury. That may be kind of cool. Of course, if they do that, they're gonna have to go from 1 hour to 2 hours, because it's hard enough to get 2 people giving their speeches and stuff in a single hour, much less 3. All right, Cheryl's saying the final comp is how well you know your castmates. Yeah, that is, you're right. Thank you for that. That's what they do a lot of during my season. The final 2 comp was they were away at camp, I think, and they were talking about, oh, do you remember the house guest who is sitting above the house guest wearing glasses in the memory wall? Who was that? Or, oh, do you remember so-and-so? Do you remember Kimmy? What color shirt was she wearing in a memory wall photo? That was one of the questions. And I remember that because even though I didn't get to compete and I was already gone, but I remember thinking, wow, that is a devious question, because you can study the memory wall as much as you want. But I didn't realize that Kimmy was wearing yellow because she got evicted fairly early. And so her picture was black and white from that point on. So I just, that was one of the questions I saw asked that I wasn't sure about. But you're right. It's typically know your house guest, asking questions of that sort and everything. So that comes into a little bit of memory, social game, a little bit of both. Now, who has the best chance of winning that if they do that kind of comp? And it's, well, we know it's going to be Matt versus Bowie, Jane, or Jag. I don't know. I don't know who would win that kind of comp the best. Bowie, Jane, they've all isolated themselves so much here recently from everyone else that they may all have issues with a little bit of that. But we see Bowie Jane, she continually wins these competitions. She wins it with a tiebreaker. What are the chances that you're going to have Bowie Jane beat Jag in the next round? So it's Bowie Jane facing off against Matt, standing in booths, answering questions. They finish up tied, and they have to make a best guess on time or minutes or whatever it is. And Bowie Jane wins yet another tiebreaker and gets to decide. That could be exciting. Possible. She's good at those kind of things, so we'll see. All right, let's see what else we've got here as we shut it down. It is 8 o'clock. Wow, so quick. All right, guys, we're gonna shut it down. I appreciate all y'all out here. It's been a fun year. A year. It feels like a year. It's been a fun Big Brother season. And again, I'm not going anywhere. And next Monday, we're going to talk all about the show and what y'all think, your final thoughts and all that. But in the meanwhile, thank you. Thank you for yet another fun Monday night. And for those of you that I was able to ask questions, thank you for asking them. For the ones I missed, reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. Yeah, it doesn't have to be out here. Send me a message. I'll try to respond out there because I love talking Big Brother. All right, guys, with that being said, if you haven't done so already, a final reminder, please go out, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications. A big old thumbs up is appreciated as well. With that, y'all have a fantastic Monday night. Thursday night, it all wraps up. It's going to be a fun one. But until then, guys, SKD 143, Cheers, my friends. Y'all have a great evening. Bye.